Create a mixed reality setup with $320 or less. Is it possible? You bet it is, because that's what I started off with. Hey, I'm AtomBombBody, and I create VR recording and live streaming tutorials. And today I'm going to show you how to create a super affordable mixed reality setup that works. You probably clicked on this video because you already know what mixed reality is, but just in case, if not, let me give you the Cliff Notes version. Mixed reality basically combines your real-world camera with a computer-generated one, so it basically gives your viewers the illusion that you're inside the video game. Now to do this, I use a free software called 𝐂𝐻𝐿IVE, but I'm not going to go on how to set that up in today's video. Today's video is only going to be on the physical things you need. If you want to see the software setup and all that kind of stuff, check out this video. You may have seen some mixed reality setups where people dedicate whole rooms to this, and that's fantastic, and it might be an eventual end goal, but if you're like me when you first started out, you can't really afford to do something like that, or maybe you don't have the space to be able to create that. It might just not be a feasible starting point for everyone. Let's face it, we can't all be 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐕R right away. I'm just kidding, kind of. Seriously, go check out his channel though. He has some fantastic mixed reality stuff, and he really knows what he's talking about. He spent over $3,500 on his setup. Some people may realize that, hey, you know what, the setup for mixed reality just isn't for me, and it'll hurt a lot less if it's a $200 learning experience instead of a over $1,000 learning experience. So let's show you what you need. As obvious with the price point, this video assumes that you already have a VR headset. Now, PC VR is going to be easier, but know that 𝐿IVE is working eventually on a Quest-compatible version. Also, someone's probably going to mention it in the comments, but no, I did not include tax in these prices because it's going to vary from state to country. First thing you're going to need is a camera. Unfortunately, due to COVID, the prices for webcams has seriously been jacked up, so this is probably going to be the most expensive thing that you're going to have to purchase out of all of it. I recommend starting off with something like the Logitech C920. I've used this guy for over 2 years, including for mixed reality footage. It's a very solid and capable beginner camera. And if you happen to own a GoPro, you can actually use that as a mixed reality camera as well, depending on how old it is. I also recommend buying a cheapy tripod to put your camera on if you don't already have one lying around already, so that you can be more flexible with the positioning, as well as to minimize the shake, because that can affect your calibration. Perhaps even more important than the camera itself is the lighting. Lighting will be crucial in getting that smooth chroma key effect for mixed reality. Alright, so I know I've got this kind of weird Billy on the streets look right now. It's because my other microphone is on a loner, so it looks like I'm about to interview this clamp light here. How do you feel about being so ugly?
I don't know, it's not that bad. Nobody really sees me on camera anyway, but I'm totally functional.
Sounds good. So these are the clamp lights that I used. I have 4 of them. Actually, I'm still using some of them to actually light this. But what it is you can buy these from any local hardware store. And while I was there, I also bought some daylight bulbs. I think they were 5,000 kelvins, 1,100 lumens, and make sure that they're LED bulbs. One of my concerns was if the lights would run too hot, but because you're using LEDs, I've used them for 4 hours plus and they've never gotten too hot. Another thing I didn't like was the spotlight effect because it was a bit too bright, so it would shine too much on one spot of my green screen. And so what I did was I took some parchment paper, I cut them in really sloppy circles, and then I chip clip them to the rims, and that makes a really, really affordable, easy softbox. You're also going to need something to be able to clip the clamp lights to, and for that I have some cheaper lighting stands which ironically look more expensive than the lights themselves, but they work. Otherwise, I've also attached these clamp lights to shelving, spare tripods, etc. I prefer something more portable though, like the tripods or the light stands, just because I'm able to move them around to get the best quality lighting that I can. Another important aspect is going to be your green screen. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. How I personally did it was I have a backdrop stand that I put a 10-foot by 12-foot fabric green screen on. You want it to be wide enough where if you outstretch your arms, it's not going to get cut off, but you also want it high enough so that you can stand on it and not get your head cropped off. Another option that I've seen for people who have the space is that instead of painting, because they're not really sure about that yet or they can't, is they will get a bunch of green fabric, tack it to the wall, and then use green puzzle piece mats to use as the flooring. Again, depending on how large your space is, this may take you over the budget, especially when it comes to those puzzle piece mats, but I wanted to give you that option just in case this works better for you. So this is the setup that I've used for at least a year. I've since made some small upgrades to my setup, like my lighting and my camera, but all of these upgrades were incremental and should only be made once you know that you're really into this and you have the budget for it. I've also created a kit list for all of the items I mentioned in this video. They'll all be in one place, but do know that for some of the things like the clamp lights and the bulbs, it might actually be cheaper to just buy them in person. Also, if you purchase through those links, some of the proceeds will go back to me to help support this channel, so thank you. The link will be in the description below. Now that we've seen what a super budget mixed reality setup looks like, what would be your dream mixed reality setup? I'd be very curious to know. Let me know in the comments below. Follow me on socials to get more tips, hear ramblings, occasional funny things, and as my patrons know, on my Patreon page you can get more tutorials that are related to VR, tech, video editing, graphic editing, etc. So thank you guys so much again, you're the real MVPs. As always, keep on creating and never lose that drive to improve. I'll see you on the next one.